Happy to see you again in Business Doctor. Today we are going to discuss something very common and of course very stupid. We are going to discuss something about stupidity in general, and we are trying to compare with intelligence. The message here is that you need intelligence to remain stupid. That's the point, and what we mean by this, let's see it in the video. First, I don't know whether you have observed, an intelligent individual will always be viewed as the dumbest person in the room if he is or she is the only intelligent individual in that room. This you would have seen in your domestic settings or in your office settings, where you will have meetings with your friends and colleagues. So obviously you would have come to know, or maybe part of the other side. We don't know, or rather I don't know where you belong to, so you need to understand where you fit in first. So the message here is that stupidity is all pervasive. Whether you go to any part of the world, any part of the time, at any settings, whether it is office, personal, friends, outing, anywhere, this stupidity is always pervasive. And remember, it kills your dreams and objectives, and without knowing yourself, by having this or having failed to come out of this, you won't be able to achieve your goals or dreams or objectives. And stupidity does not have any limits, and of course it gives you unlimited or limitless opportunities, so that you can make mistakes and never learn again, and you continue to do the same thing again and again and again. So let's get into some aspects related to stupidity. Somebody calls us idiocracy, idiocy, idiosyncrasies, and so many words people refer to. Let's simply use the word stupidity. So the person will have very limited understanding, and often involves a lack of understanding, whether due to ignorance or misinformation or refusal to engage in critical thinking. This refusal is the key word here, because they will be adamant to learn new things or correct themselves. The next one is the poor judgment. People seen as stupid might make decisions without considering any logic or evidence or consequence of taking that judgment. And the next one is the repetitive mistakes, that even at some point in time during the course of the conversation you may say, oh, what a stupid person I am, right? So this is because of the repeated mistakes. Repeated mistakes are the hallmark of stupidity, and failing to learn from past experience. Often repeating the same mistake. It's not a new mistake, it's the same mistake repeatedly over and over and over, again and again and again. The next part of stupidity is the emotional influence. Emotion can dominate throughout your life, obviously, right? As a human being, we all have some kind of emotions at all points in time. So emotion can dominate your thought process, leading to irrational behavior or any decisions. Then it can be also on a context specific. When somebody is stupid, it is with respect to the context, it is not with respect to the personality as such. So a person may exhibit stupidity in one area, for example, on a particular skill or a special skill, but not necessarily in all aspects of life. So here the basic message is lack of awareness, inability to learn from mistakes, resistance to change, focus on short-term gains, emotional reactivity, narrow perspective, and inability to consider alternative viewpoints or options. Now let's talk quickly about what an intelligence means. With respect to problem solving ability, it often involves using logic, reasoning, and knowledge to find solutions, often with creative or novel approaches. That's where some you will call, okay, you're intelligent, right? And the other one is adaptability with respect to intelligence. Intelligent individuals can adjust their thinking and behavior based on new information or changing environments. Because every time you go out, for example, you haven't seen this video before or this message before. Now, having seen that, and if you are intelligent enough, you will adapt to the message said here. This is what we said in the very first video on change management. So, your ability to adapt, that is one of the very important aspects in intelligence. Critical thinking, intelligence encourages critical thinking, questioning assumptions, analyzing the data, and making a reasoned conclusions. It is not that just because you can ask question, that does not mean that every question is right. So you have to be careful with respect to the reasoning, and you should accept the reasoning. And the next one is the learning from growth. These individuals are more likely to learn from mistakes and improve over time. That's the contrast, the difference between a stupid person and an intelligent person. And it can happen through varied forms. Like, isn't just about logical reasoning or emotional intelligence or social intelligence and creativity or other key dimensions of intelligence. So to list down on intelligence, it's a self-awareness and reflection, ability to learn from mistakes, adaptability and openness to change, focus on long-term consequences, emotional regulation, or you know how to control emotional control or regulation, broad perspective and nuance so that you know what you are doing, and the ability to consider multiple viewpoints or options. So to compare stupidity and intelligence, decision making, if you take that as a parameter, both intelligence and stupidity involve decision making. But while intelligence involves thoughtful, well-informed choices, stupidity often results in hasty or poorly considered decisions. Second is with respect to learning. Intelligence is typically, intelligence facilitates learning from experience. You know what you have gathered. We saw it in the learning and training video as well. Intelligent people will try to generate data or generate information or insight from learning, while stupidity often leads to repeating the same errors due to the lack of insight or awareness. With respect to the complexity, intelligence deals with complexity and abstract thinking very well, while stupidity often struggles with the nuance, the details of it, or oversimplifying or completely misunderstanding the complex issues. In contrast, if you look at the influence of emotions, while intelligence can integrate emotions in a balanced way, that people are calling as emotional intelligence, like IQ, EQ, that way. Stupidity often succumbs to impulsive reactions without considering rational consequences. So people venture out and then get into trouble, then come out again, venture to another trial, then get into the same problem, and then again come out and again make a third venture. So they just repeat. So that is because of their emotional balance. Perception of reality. This is very, very important, and intelligence seeks to align understanding with evidence and reality, while stupidity rather may ignore facts, cling to misconceptions or distort reality, which means that they will stick on to whatever the misconceived ideas are or their thoughts are, and they go around and they won't come out of the vicious circle. There are quite a few laws on stupidity, and I'm going to tell you about Carlo M. Cipolla's laws. There are some 4 or 5 points, each one reflecting very heavily on stupidity. Everyone underestimates the number of stupid people. Okay, that's the first thing, because when you go to a meeting or when you are in the large gathering, you would have seen that. Stupidity is independent of other characteristics like your height, weight, gender, education, etc. That is very, very native and latent. And stupid people cause harm to others without benefiting themselves, because when you try to help them out, they won't care about you. Okay, so that way they cause harm in either emotionally or physically or whatever it is. Or it may be very simple: when you are crossing the road and you want someone to help, they will drop you halfway through. Okay, so you get stuck. And non-stupid people often underestimate stupidity's power. This is the other side of the story. Okay, so people very difficult to understand the power of stupidity. Stupid people are almost dangerous because their actions are irrational and unpredictable. So you can't have a reliable or trustworthy approach towards stupid people, or whoever is behaving that way. You can consider them as stupid. Okay, it's vice versa. Okay, and in contrast, we discussed on the emotions. So when people are stupid, what happens is that when you are trying to do certain things because of their emotions, their unpredictable nature or their irrational nature come into play. These are all the Cipolla's laws, and there are some messages here with respect to stupidity and how stupid people behave. For example, a stupid individual rarely ever knows his or her own stupidity. That's another revealing point, because they think that they know everything and they are on top of that. And that you can see it in your organization with your reporting manager or your manager or your subordinate, your peers, or your even your directors or owners of the company or entrepreneurs or your CEOs or CXOs. You can see in every place, because of the lack of knowledge the person has or possesses, contributes to the inability to evaluate themselves. That's where the whole problem begins. The moment the stupidity gets into the mind, they can't evaluate, or you can't evaluate your own self. So what happens is that over a period of time, there is a mental development. Obviously, you try to gain some kind of within quote confidence, but this confidence is not well backed or uncovered. So that stays there with you, and in the battle between this type of confidence is never negative to be around, but very uplifting, invigorating, and unfortunately extremely rare. This is because this confidence is not going to stay for long. But this real confidence, even if it stays in your mind, what will happen is that it is very hard for you to retain that, because there is a level of stupidity within you, and stupidity reign over your real confidence if it is not deeply into your mind. And in terms of recent years or in the modern days, what happens is that this war between these two, that real confidence and stupidity, the problem is that there is the stupidity has almost taken over the real confidence in every individual at every point in time, and stupidity is going to reign over, is what the trend has been. That's what I observe, and whatever. It's not that I am not stupid. I might be also stupid in some situations, but that's quite obvious, right? So there is a person by name Dunning-Kruger who has got a kind of effect studied of stupidity, and it is as per him, he says that it is a cognitive bias where individuals with limited knowledge or expertise overestimate their abilities. Overestimate is the point that we used to criticize in a casual or slang way, but this overestimation is the one which is going to pin you down. The characteristics here is that overconfidence, lack of self-awareness, inability to recognize our own mistakes. The consequence obviously is a poor decision making, resistance to feedback. This is very, very important. I'll tell you in a while how this resistance is a major cause of concern, at least for me, whoever I have seen or interacted with. This resistance to change or feedback is driving. This is one of the main consideration, at least I would suggest people to overcome. and stagnation. I'm putting you here a graph where this graph is like it has got a confidence on y-axis and wisdom on x-axis. And if you can see this graph, right? So the blind confidence shoots at the very early stage, and then because of various reasons, the moment it reaches the amount of stupidity or the height of stupidity, and what happens is that it gradually, people get into some kind of vexations and blah blah blah. So it gradually tapers down and reaches the valley, is the lowest most point, and that time is somewhere in the middle of your thing, in the wisdom, or with respect to time, or with respect to aging, or with respect to experience. It could be any of those things. And then the real stage of enlightenment happens. You can see the graph moving up, correct? So this is the Dunning-Kruger effect, and which I feel this is very true because I have seen people fitting into this pattern. And if very simply you ask a child at your home, or you ask somebody who is new to the subject, the first thing they will say that, yeah, as if they have got they know everything, know it all, or Mr. Know-all, or Mrs. Know-all, Miss Know-all, whatever. So they think that they know everything, and the graph goes straight up. Then based on their interactions over a period of time, gradually it drops. Then a kind of plateauing or valleying happens, and that time the self-confidence or the realization happens first, and the real confidence or the enlightenment starts happening in their life. This is what the Dunning-Kruger effect is going to be. And the first stage is called blind confidence. It seems from nowhere, but somehow stupidity miraculously generates a surge of confidence, even without you knowing the subject. The dumber you are, the more confident you tend to be. These are all the signs during that phase. And it's an unwarranted faith in one's abilities, leading to poor judgment. So they will try to judge you without knowing your capabilities, and they get into poor judgment. So obviously there is a overestimation of abilities, or disregard for expertise, and complacency, because I know that way. The consequence obviously will be a poor decision making, lack of accountability, and stagnation. During the valley of despair, in that part of the curve, if you look at in that phase, where individuals confront their own incompetence, they try to question themselves, like, why I did that way, why should I have done something differently, or should I have heeded to some advice from others, or should I have trusted somebody else. So these are the questions during that phase, the valley of despair, and you start doubting yourself whether I am doing correctly or wrong. And obviously there will be some kind of frustration because you would not have moved further in your dreams or goals. So there will be some kind of frustration, and you feel overwhelmed. Okay, you don't know what to do, and you got a lot of things, but you do not know what to do. And the opportunity here is that you have to recognize your own limitations, and you should be open or willing to learn new things or on the subject. Then the growth happens. There are certain basic facts about this. The average human intelligence from a global point of view is growing, but at a significantly slower rate than it should be. Given all the technology we have, more importantly, the access to all sort of knowledge, wisdom, and intellect that comes with that technology, what do most of us do with it? The problem here is that we are surrounded by, or we have been made up of that kind of information or knowledge from different sources, and whether we are able to comprehend correctly or learn correctly, that's the question here. So what happens is that in the process we waste a lot of precious time. So even social media as a concept is amazing, but in practice what happens is that it becomes damaging to society that is already sick with stupidity. Because you have to listen to this video in particular, for example, whoever is listening. So you have to listen to this, and you have to listen to so many thousands and thousands or millions and millions of videos. You do not know what is right, what is wrong. So when that means you will be perpetually in the stage of blind confidence. You won't even come to the level of understanding or self-doubting phase, because you will be completely you will be confident enough so that you will never be able to open or receive ideas or receive feedback. That's the problem. In the process, you misplace trust. You do not know where to keep your trust. In the name of science, you question everything without knowing the meaning of the question and the answer thereof, and become addicted to social media. That becomes a congregation of stupidity. That we have been seeing that. Stupidity in an entertaining manner is always viewed higher than intelligence in any manner, because you can see quite a lot of media posts that are very much entertaining to you, but if you start taking it, then you are enriching your stupidity, not your intelligence. Stupidity is fascinating to stupidity, so it attracts. Okay, it's not that like poles repel. The stupidity attracts stupidity. Okay, it's contagious that way. Society has gone in the direction of full on stupid, to the point where I think I could have already beat intelligence as a whole, and now it is battling itself. That's where it is now. And the very simple example is that have you tried to give any advice to anybody, and if you look at the Dunning-Kruger graph, it goes to the mount, right, and then the valley of despair and the slope of enlightenment. What happens is that you may be viewed as a stupid if the person who is going to receive your advice thinks that it is a threat to that person's ego, or in young ages, maybe thanks to social media and other sources, what happens is that they perceive this as a threat to their ego, and they know that's another view that I know I'm Mr. Know-all, and maybe in the best case, or that they recognize you that you are smart, but I don't no longer require you. So this exact thing is happening in every work environment, every media source, in every form of human interaction. In modern times, stupidity always wins, because the mass of stupidity now has methods to put it as a blind confidence in every aspect of humanity's lives. This is where everybody tries to be there in the graph, blind confidence, that phase, and it is so steep that the moment you get into learning, or getting into a work, or getting into learning new things, the moment you touch something, your blind confidence goes steep high. So this is where the beginning. The spectrum of stupidity available on the internet is mind-blowing, and all of us have access to this. That also we need to accept. And those are all the mini battles of stupidity and intelligence, and obviously stupidity seems to win almost every time on the internet or human interactions without fail. Because you try to talk to a child, you try to talk to your spouse or your colleague or your subordinate, whoever it is. Obviously, if you are not showing the authority, very highly likely that you are going to lose, because that person is not willing to listen to you. So what are the implications of stupidity and intelligence? On personal growth, definitely intelligence fosters self-improvement, while stupidity hinders your progress. So you need to remember that. Unless you grow personally, you can't grow in professional environment. So that is very clear. Decision making, obviously, intelligent individuals consider long-term consequence, while stupid people always looks at short-term gains or very, very short-term gains. And with respect to relationship, obviously intelligent people build stronger relationships. They try to overcome all the ups and downs in a manner. They want to live it for longer. While stupid people will be so emotional, they will be shouting and spoiling the relationship. The social implications, of course, when you are in a group, for example, the group, of course, now with the social media, the group is very big. You've got billions of people in one group in single shot. So stupidity can spread through social circles, penetrating harmful ideas. This is where all the mind undergoes the repair. Basically not repair in that sense, undergoes the damage first. And because of the stupidity, the repair doesn't happen. And leadership, of course, the intelligent leaders make informed decisions while stupid one create chaos. That you can see in any of its settings. Of course, it has got an economic implications as well. And with respect to innovation, intelligence drives innovation. That you need to remember. Stupidity stifles progress, and you should not be confused between stupidity and laziness, because some people glorify laziness for innovation, and you should not be confused between stupidity and laziness. And resource allocation at a macro as well as the micro level, or at a personal or family level, intelligent decisions optimize resource usage. So you know how to make a budget for your monthly expenses or your office setup, whereas stupid people will try to waste the resources. And culturally or religiously, if you look at intelligence people promotes critical thinking, they question everything, there's a kind of self-inquiry, and they will make an informed decision and they move on to learn new things, while stupid people reinforces their harmful ideas or notions and repeat the same bad or incorrect practices again and again, because they don't have trust or they've got a misinformed information or knowledge or something that has gone into the mind, deep into the mind, through their friends or through their relatives or within family or through office, through internet mechanism. So this is really harming. If you look at every domestic household, family, every small company, every small teams in a large organization, you can see this. Education, of course, intelligence values knowledge. That's where I am trying to drive at. And whereas stupidity dismisses the expertise. Okay, we don't need anything. I know blindly. I go on a steep curve on blind confidence. So there are strategies to, of course, overcome. You don't need to fear. So what you need to do first is to self-reflect on your things, what has gone wrong, and what you have done something good, and why it has happened. Was there any repeated mistakes? So that you can introspect yourself and self-reflect and try to correct. The second one, which is very important in my opinion, is the seeking the feedback or seeking the advice. And of course you need to get the advice from the right set of people. For that again you need intelligence to ask who is right and who is wrong. You should have that kind of a mental ability to distinguish and accordingly use that feedback so that you don't make the same mistakes again and again and again. And sometimes you may have to embrace uncertainty so that you learn first time for your own self. And of course you need to learn continuously. So the key takeaways here is that stupidity is not the absence of intelligence, but rather a distinct mindset. So it could be temporary or it could be for a particular mindset, and it does not reflect the person as a whole. Intelligence is not solely determined by IQ or intelligence quotient, and stupidity can be overcome through self-awareness, education and effort. You need to, of course, put in effort. We saw that in the first few videos on the cardinal rules, like whose problem is that? If you're stupid, whose problem is that? It's your problem, right? So you need to put in that effort. Intelligence is not fixed and it has to be developed. So the insights here are recognizing the stupidity in ourselves and others can help us grow, maybe grow together. Encouraging self-reflection and critical thinking can foster intelligence. Embracing complexity and nuance leads to better decision making. With that note, I leave you here to reflect upon yourself, seek the feedback if required from others, and try to move away from the blind confidence to you come up the curve, then go down the curve, and again in the path of enlightenment. I want you to get into that space sooner in your life so that you can have a peaceful life down the line. Thank you for watching. This is Gokul. See you in the next video. Cheers.